guys, welcome back to
Lifestyle of the
Plebe
Plebe and Nameless.
I'm Joan.
And I'm Coco. And this is Bunny. Say hi.
Today is going to be our last reaction to Snowdrop video.
These 2 episodes were a doozy.
They were a roller coaster for me, and I felt like I used up all of my emotions.
I blame her. She brought me into this. It's her fault that I feel this way. Before we get started, we're going to announce our next reaction series, Bridgerton! We are going to be serving up some English tea in Grosvenor Square.
And it's going to be a lot of tea.
It's going to be so different from Snowdrop. A breath of fresh air.
It's definitely going to be new for me because I don't watch a lot of English or American shows, so I'll be judging it from a Kdrama perspective. Before season 2 starts, I haven't watched season 1, so we'll be doing a recap of season 1 as well.
Watch with us, it's gonna be so much fun.
Without further ado, let's jump straight into episode 15.
Okay, let's go.
We start with Youngro and Suho. Suho gives her back the necklace that she dropped. Well, she threw on the floor.
She's never taking that off now. Suho tells her, as long as we are alive, we will see each other again someday. Giving me the feels.
It hits different, like, thinking back about that now.
Meanwhile, number 2 is being interrogated by the chief. And number 2 is trying to suck up to the chief now, trying to sweet talk him. And the chief is like, no. Didn't you used to call me Dungfly? And number 2 is like, well, no. What about Lord of the Flies? It's a good thing. And I'm like, this man probably has never read Lord of the Flies, clearly.
Oh,
If he would have read the book, he would know that that has nothing to do with flies. And the chief knew that. He's like, no, that doesn't help you, buddy.
So then the chief, his wife calls him and asks him about the investment lady.
No, she wasn't asking. She was blaming him for it.
Oh, because she knows it was already gone.
She's like, why didn't you check, you idiot? And he panics, so then he just runs off to try to take care of it.
But eventually he comes back and he's all worried.
He comes back trying to put the blame on number 2, saying, oh, well, you were the one who was with that woman who's a North Korean spy. She's the one who stole the money, so it's your fault.
Yeah, y'all both did this.
Number 2's like, oh, no. You're not gonna play me. Like, you need my help to get out of this.
So he immediately takes advantage of the situation, and the chief, he's such a coward.
Yes, you can just see him begging at his knees. Please save me. The chief releases number 2 from his cuffs, and number 2 gets up, and I really thought he was gonna kick the chief again.
I know, I was looking at his feet.
I kept waiting for it, but instead number 2 goes, I wanna slap you. But he just goes,
I know.
I'm so surprised, but I guess he's like trying to not overdo it so that the chief doesn't turn back on him.
Oh yeah, he needs some at the moment.
I feel like this episode is just turning tables like constantly. Like I literally got dizzy trying to figure out like, okay, who's in charge now and what's going on? Who's on what side?
Me too. At one point I felt like they overdid it. I felt like they were just doing that to fill in the time.
I got lost.
I got annoyed. The hothead, he was messaging his direct supervisor about the whole situation, how they have the money. He gets a message back from the North Korean lady that he needs to kill Suho. And after he hears that, he quickly changes the message to say that remain at the current status quo. At first, I didn't know what he was gonna do. I thought,
clearly he's gonna go kill Suho.
Yeah, eventually he does.
That's why he changed the message.
Since Phone Girl, she was in that secret room, she overheard Black Tiger and Suho's conversation about Youngro's dad's plan to let everyone out of the dorm. And she's like, no, I can't let that happen.
She hurries up and calls the chief to tell him, like, they're about to release the hostages. And the chief is like, don't call me on here again, or I'll kill you.
The chief's like, you think I care about this? But the headmistress, she walks in on Phone Girl and stops her.
The Phone Girl knocked over this book that had the picture, and we see the picture slip out.
And it was her sister and the headmistress taking a picture together in Germany.
And phone girl is so surprised, like, why? Why do you have a picture with my sister?
Her sister had a little thing with her fiance.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It turns out she got pregnant by him. The headmistress came back to Korea and ended up getting interrogated by the chief. She says she made a false confession. And that's why phone girl's sister ended up killing herself.
Basically under the pressure and
torture of the chief. Headmistress tells phone girl, this is why you shouldn't help that guy. Like, he's a monster. He's the cause of your sister dying. But really, it's also the headmistress too. She was also the cause of it. The
phone girl's like, I'll never forgive you. That makes sense now, how the headmistress always feels indebted to the phone girl and tries to save her butt. Hothead was able to break free, and he goes upstairs and brings his gun and tries to shoot Suho. And that's whenever the doctor returns to the dorm and she like shoots Hothead comrade in the leg.
I don't understand why like people in movies and shows always take so long to shoot the person. Like, you could have just done it all those minutes. Instead, you stood there holding the gun pointing at him. Like, if that was your mission, why didn't you just do it? You were so determined to.
Suho questions Hothead, like, who ordered you to kill me?
And he wouldn't tell him.
The doctor knows, so she said it. And Suho, you could see his face, he just sort of breaks down. And that's whenever we find out that
the North Korean lady is his mother. Biological mother. Like, what? Why? Why did that have to happen? What was the point of that storyline?
It was so unnecessary. It didn't even help with the story.
No. It just shows that all the parents in this show sucks. All of them. Number 2's ready to blow up the dorm. So he's like, okay, at 10 o'clock, get ready. We're going to blow up the dorm. And he had his whole detonator out. Number 3 walks in with his wife. Everyone's like, whoa. I thought he was at the hospital. I thought he was dying. And number 3 is like, no, everyone arrest him. Arrest number 2.
So you have like 2 sides pointing guns at each other.
And then the chief asks for a gun and he points it at number 3's guys. And number 3's like, what are you doing? The chief just has this stupid look on his face like, how am I supposed to explain this? Like, this guy's trying to help me with the money.
And then you have the wives show up.
Yes, they all show up.
And they basically have this blame game going on, pointing fingers at each other, saying it's all your fault that this is happening.
And finally, the doctor pretty much gets on like speakerphone because she radios in and everyone in the tent can hear, honey,
I got the money. I'm back at the dorm.
I wanted to go to the Maldives with you, but I guess we won't make it there. Love you. Bye.
So now they need to make sure that they don't push the detonator or else the money's gonna be gone.
Number 3 is so tired of this whole tirade. So he tells Hana, go get him. And Hana walks out, whips up the picture of him and the doctor and puts it down like, here's your proof that you were all asking for.
She puts it on top of the detonator and everyone's like, whoa.
Don't touch the button.
Oh my god, you could see number 2, his wife.
She starts hitting him.
Number 2 and the chief, they're both arrested now.
And the wives.
The tent is under Yoonro's dad's control.
For now. Suho's on the staircase, very depressed because he just found out his biological mom ordered to kill him. Yoonro sees him and she's on her way to comfort him. And the doctor gets there first. And Yoonro is watching the doctor trying to take her man.
See, at that point I felt like, yeah, Suho's probably better off with the doctor. Like, they're a better match, honestly, to be fair.
The heart wants what it wants. So the mechanic is eavesdropping on their conversation, and he knows about their plan now, where they're going to be going.
He hid all of his radio and equipment in that secret room inside of the prayer room. The head girl, she was looking for her exam book. She walks into that secret room and accidentally finds the old mechanic relaying his message and also receiving new orders to kill Suho and leave the dorm. And the old mechanic saw her and she pretended that she was sleepwalking.
But the old mechanic was not fooled. He's after her. And it was so creepy. Like, he follows her to her room and he takes out this, I guess, cyanide pill to try to kill her. Good thing Yoonro was in the room at the time. The doctor tells Suho, we need to use the $300 million to buy our safety. So Suho tells Yunro's dad, hey, we have the $300 million in the dorm. You need to get us a car at midnight to get us out of here.
But Suho, he still has a good heart because he wants to make sure that all of the students are out and safe before he leaves.
The doctor tells Suho, you need to make your choice. Is it the hostages or is it your team? Which one do you want to save? Because we gotta leave very, very soon. So the doctor gives Suho 5 minutes to say goodbye to Yunro.
That was the saddest 5 minutes.
So they go to the rooftop to say their goodbye.
Yunro, she had the scarf that her brother gave her, that green scarf, and she tries to give it to Suho. And Suho's like, no, I can't take this. And she's like, why? Because he says, I won't be able to return it back to you.
He says, as soon as I leave this dorm, I'll forget that you exist.
Yunro's like, no, and she back hugs him.
That was so harsh. I couldn't believe he said that.
He needed to be harsh because it's all realistic now.
So basically, he has to pry her hands off of his body. So sad.
After the old mechanic got off of the head girl's back, she immediately runs to Black Tiger and the headmistress. And head girl tells him that the old mechanic is weird. I overheard him saying he's gonna kill Suho and leave.
And Yunro overhears this, so she runs to go warn Suho.
Suho and his team, they climb out of that window in the downstairs bathroom. And that's whenever you hear, Suho! And Suho, like, stops climbing out and he, like, looks back.
And the doctor's like, okay, you gotta decide. Let's go.
Hurry up.
So Suho climbs out. And that's how the episode ends. And now we come to the final episode.
We start out with the old mechanic. He is leaving through the hut, which I felt like was too easy for him because a few minutes before the SWAT team were over there and they radioed them that they're actually leaving through the bathroom and they all run over there. And he was just able to successfully leave through the hut without anybody on watch. And his buddy picks him up in a van. And oh my god, his son was following him.
He's like, where's my dad doing?
And he gets in the van too. And I was thinking, like, wow, was he really gonna leave his son there?
Yeah, he was. He's on a mission. He couldn't have him with him.
So they notice that his son is in the van too, and he, like, tells him to get out, and he points a gun at his son. I was like, woohoo. Yeah. Oh my god,
The
okay.
mechanic is like, from this moment on, I'm dead to you.
Inside the dorm, we see Yunro trying to look for Suho to warn him that the mechanic is about to kill him. She runs down the basement to the hut, and Black Tiger was, like, following her. She was about to open the door and get out, and Black Tiger's like, excuse me, ma'am.
No, you can't leave. We still need you for our safety. So he talks her into staying.
I feel so bad for Black Tiger because whenever Suho was there, he had people that were capable to kind of help him. And now he's alone trying to, like, fend for 33 girls.
Right.
The doctor had a car ready for Suho and the team together to leave, and they get to this checkpoint, so the spies had to split up. Hothead and the nice comrade, they kept a car because the people didn't recognize them. And Suho and the doctor, they were on foot. It was so sad because Hothead and the nice comrade, they eventually got to the port.
And they were talking about fried chicken and cup noodles, and then bam, bam, that's it.
You know, out of all the times that I wished Hothead was just gone from my sight, that was the one point where I felt like, no. Because they made it through all of this till the very end. Yeah. And this is the ending that they get. I don't feel bad for the nice comrade, though.
Why? The poor guy, he's been injured like the entire show.
I just felt like he should have been gone earlier.
Oh, wow. Okay. Joan was prepared for his demise a long time ago.
But I felt bad for Hothead for some reason.
Because he kind of had a change of heart, and then when him and Suho parted ways, he kind of made a joke about, you know, them drinking. It was kind of his, like, little mini redemption.
But change of scenes, we see the doctor and Suho, they were taking a break. We see that Suho had a tape in his hand. Yeah. I thought that that was the tape that Yunro had recorded for him.
Yeah, and then he recorded on it.
Oh, so it has both of theirs.
Yeah, so why did he have it? Like, you would think he would have left it for Yunro to have.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he wanted her to forget about him.
Oh, okay.
So that he didn't leave anything behind.
Yeah.
But he still left her that necklace, though.
Mixed messages, Suho.
Hana is now back on her own mission where she needs to go release the reporter because Youngro's dad's not going to do that.
No, and they need to get out that this really is an election scheme.
Hana and the reporter, they go and basically take over a radio broadcast station. They immediately just say out everything that they know of for the political scheme.
But not for very long because they get cut off after like 30 seconds.
I know, but the students inside the dorm, they were listening to it, and like a lot of people outside too, like the parents.
Yes, so the damage has been done, and number 3 gets so mad at Hana, he releases the chief from his little prison, whatever he was in, to go get Hana.
And his wife too.
Yes, in the car, the chief is like, give me my sunglasses.
Give me my Ray-Bans.
I got a job to do.
I was so tired at that point too because you like tried so hard to get him in and then now he's back out again.
That's insane. Like, these episodes is so confusing. People are just in and out of jail. The president hears about the broadcast and he's like, oh no. Youngro's dad's doing a terrible job. So I need to put number 2 in charge again. And number 2 at that time was getting tortured by the KCIA. And he gets that phone call from the president and he's so relieved that he's now going to be back in charge. And the president is like, this is your last chance, so don't F it up. Number 2 was just bowing on the phone. And that always cracks me up because the other person can't see you.
It's really a roller coaster for number 2. I feel like he's the one that's been in and out the most.
It's a roller coaster for me watching number 2.
Suho and the doctor, they finally got back into a car and was driving to the port as well. On the radio, Suho hears the news
that number 2 is now back in charge.
And Suho's like, the students are not safe anymore. I need to go back and save Youngro.
And the doctor's like, oh my god, like, we're so close. We're so close to leaving.
She's tired of him.
She's like, come on now, Suho, don't go back. That's the dumbest thing to do.
She's like, if you go back, what was the reason for me going back to the dorm?
To save you. She could have just ran off with the money. So the mechanic catches up to them, and they are now held at gunpoint.
Suho was really surprised that he was the spy.
And he says, I pity you. And that kind of sets him off. Like, apparently that's exactly what the old headmistress has said right before he decided to kill her.
So he kind of stops, and Suho tells him that Youngro's now at danger.
Mechanic hesitates because he always has a soft spot for Youngro. She's the daughter he never had. And we actually see him turning on North Korea at the very end when his comrade tries to shoot at Suho, and the mechanic jumps in front of the bullet to protect Suho so that he can go back to the dorm to save Youngro.
And conveniently, they just shoot each other and they both fall.
Yeah.
That was so convenient. It was a little too convenient. The doctor, she leaves on her own with the money.
And she actually tries to give the money to Suho, like, hey, you need this for your protection. And Suho is like, oh, no. Please don't make my heart heavier than it already is. And I was like, oh, poor Suho.
So Suho goes back, and boy, back at the dorm, what do you see on the streets? A big old tank.
I was like, why is there a tank in the street? Like, we're not at war. We're just dealing with a dorm full of girls. And the North Korean spies aren't even there anymore.
That's the ironic thing.
Yes.
He looked really stupid.
Yeah, in his military uniform.
Like, he's a general.
He's like,
on the
charge.
Onward. Number 2 goes back to the tent where number 3's at and demands for the detonator.
And number 3's like, looking for this? He throws it on the ground.
It's like already destroyed.
And everyone's like, oh, you can do that?
Number 2's in charge of the operation now. And number 3, he quickly calls Hana in haste.
We need her now.
Yeah.
To help save my daughter.
So Hana is now out and about free again.
Yeah.
She hurries up and grabs a bus. And drives to the hut to try to get everyone out. Meanwhile, inside of the dorm, they are trying to come up with a plan to help everyone escape.
Through the hut. So they needed to get all the SWAT team members away from the hut.
And Phone Girl, she volunteers
to be the one to call the chief. To lure people towards the front door. I couldn't believe that we finally get Phone Girl's redemption arc.
I felt like it was probably symbolic whenever she changed her outfit from that red polka dot dress back to her regular Phone Girl uniform.
So she becomes more humble person.
That was nice of her.
I mean, not too little too late, because she did end up helping the students get out.
So everyone's leaving down through the hut, and the cafeteria lady, she's the last one, and Yoro and the headmistress are like, come on, let's go. And she gives a funny smile and runs back, and she's like, I gotta find my son.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Your son already left.
Exactly. So she sets off the booby trap by accident, and big explosion. But somehow she doesn't die. What? What kind of booby trap is that? It didn't even kill the person setting off the booby trap. So now they have to try to save her, to drag her butt out of the dorm.
That's like a lot of work because she can't move.
Yeah.
And she's heavy too. The rest of the girls leave with Hana on the bus.
Hana was so sad that Black Tiger wasn't coming with them. She was like, what? But you're my man. Like, I came to save you. And Suho shows up at the hut. And Black Tiger was so shocked to see him. He was like, you punk.
Why'd you come back?
Yes. They couldn't have gotten out if Suho wouldn't have helped cover for them.
So they were trying to retreat from the SWAT team. And Suho tells Black Tiger, like, hey, this is the keys to the car. I'll help cover y'all. Y'all leave. And Black Tiger's like, no, like, I'll do it. You leave.
Yeah. Oh. Black Tiger and him really did become, like, really friendly through this situation.
Partners, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were leaving, and Youngro hears all of these gunshots. And they were, like, right at the door, like, ready to leave.
And she slowly scoots back down, and the headmistress sees her slowly scooting back down. And she runs back into the basement.
What can she do? She can't do anything. She don't have any weapons on her that she can use to help.
Maybe she was just gonna go convince Suho to come with us. But when she gets back to him, we see, like, he's pretty much taking care of all the SWAT people.
But he got shot.
But I'm like, how did you take down all these SWAT people? There was like 50 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of you. Yuro goes back for Suho, just like how Suho went back for Yuro. That was so sweet. And Suho sees Yuro and he's so touched that she came back for him, even though he didn't want her to. In the meantime, the SWAT team is now coming in through the hut too, so they have nowhere to go but up to the rooftop. Suho is bleeding, so Yuro takes her scarf to try to, like, tamp down the blood. It was so sad. I was like, oh my god, the scarf. It just has so much meaning. Suho does one last thing to try to save Yuro. He calls out number 2, and he's like, look, I have the money with me in the dorm, and only Yuro and I know the password.
And number 2's like, okay, what? And he was rushing to give orders to tell him to not shoot him.
Yeah, why could he not communicate through walkie? He had to go run in person. In that time, the SWAT team, they're shooting at Suho still.
And before Suho dies, he gives the tape to Youngro. Whenever I was watching it and, like, they were shooting at Suho and all of the music just goes to silence.
Yeah. And I didn't know why they had to shoot him so many times. I couldn't watch Suho dying.
Me too, because his whole life he's been, like, trying to do good deeds and, like, help
and
people.
And saving everyone. Yeah.
And I didn't like the ending that he had.
No, me either. Like, you put me through all this agony, and you put Yuro through all this agony, and you end up taking away all the people she's close to. Like, you might as well have just killed her. It would have been better for her.
I feel like they would have too, like, if number 2 didn't come in time.
But that's not the ending she got. Now she just has to live with herself for having her brother dead, her mom's dead, her father's dead, her lover's dead.
Well, her father's not dead, but pretty much dead to her.
Yeah, he's arrested, as we see in the end.
Suho had said, like, as long as they're alive, there's still a chance that they might see each other. The ending that I had pictured was kind of them separating their ways, but not Suho dying.
Well, also, like, their song, now that I think about it, their song is called One Way Ticket.
What?
So, there's no going back.
Not a round trip.
We see 1 year later, Yuro listens to the tape at the cafe where she had first met Suho. And I'm sorry, but that's not the place I would have listened to that tape. Like, I know that's gonna make me cry, and I'm not a public crier. And she hears the message that Suho left her.
And he talks about the first time he saw her too.
And that he already had feelings for her then.
It was love at first sight.
And how he would have loved to have been able to go to amusement parks and movies with her.
Ask her on a date immediately.
That's when my waterworks started. Oh, it's starting now. He said he wanted to spend a long time with her and he doesn't regret meeting her. You bloomed flowers inside me, who was so cold. So she brought him to life.
She brought him this spring.
But this flower doesn't bloom in the spring. This flower blooms in the winter. Oh. It's called Snowdrop.
That's why. And he says, I love you.
Oh, that really got me. And Euro doesn't get to say it back to him because he's dead. So sad. And then we get the bonus scene. The bonus scene was so mean. Why'd they have to do that? Like, they show Suho singing at the cafe and Euro watching him. But that's the ending we should have gotten. They shouldn't have done that to us.
It was a fake scene.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me whenever in the beginning where Youngro was imagining that they were dancing at the open house.
This whole show was just heart-wrenching. That's my word to describe it. Why did you do that to me? Like, it's called Snowdrop. I thought it was gonna be this lighthearted romantic show, you know? I didn't think it was gonna turn out into like a political thriller drama where the romance was only like a slight backdrop.
It was a different K-drama for me too because I haven't watched like any where like it's 16 episodes but everything's like compacted within a time frame of 10 days, you know? And it's in one setting, so it was kind of a unique drama for me.
Now, to all the people who hated on Snowdrop, even before watching it, saying it glamorized the government and the KCIA back then, like, they're wrong. They're so wrong.
Because it showed fully how bad...
corrupt the government is, how terrible the KCIA is at torturing people and lying about everything. So I hope those people give Snowdrop a chance because the show was really, really good. Like, I thought the casting, all the actors did such a great job. Even the minor roles. I think they should win awards for this. Like, I hope this controversy doesn't mar their chances because Jung Hae-in, oh my god. He deserves
really good.
all the awards for just his eye acting.
One of my favorite supporting roles is actually the doctor. I really liked her.
She was really good. Like, I'm interested to see other things that she's in. I was actually so proud of Jisoo for picking a role like this to be her first starring role. Because this was not easy to do. There's so many emotions involved with her character. She could have just picked some fluffy, typical K-drama, tropey romance. And she didn't.
Man, there's so many crying scenes in this show. Like, basically, Youngro had all the tears.
Yeah, I think from, like, the second half of the show onward, she was just crying in every scene. But now, I need a drama where Jung Hae-in and Jisoo have a happy ending. Like, can we get that, please?
I'm looking forward to that. To be honest, I liked all of it up until the end because I felt like there was too many back and forth. Like, it could have been more concise for me.
Yeah.
But overall, it's still a really good production.
I definitely recommend the show.
Really?
Because it really was good. It kept me at the edge of my seat the whole time. And it wasn't what I was expecting a K-drama to be. Like, it exceeded my expectations.
If you stayed with us till this point, leave us a face emoji of your choice to describe how the ending has left you. Ours is a crying face. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up.
And subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on our next series on Bridgerton.
And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you get all of the updates from our channel.
Follow us on Instagram at PLEB Nameless for exclusive content.
Thank you for staying with us all along for this Snowdrop reaction series.
It was definitely an emotional roller coaster.
See you guys next time on
Lifestyle of the Plebe and Nameless.
Bye.